Hey everyone, I'm Bobby Sylvester of the FantasyPros Football Podcast, and today I've got my top 5 sleeper starts for Week 5 of your fantasy football season. These are players you want to always feel comfortable starting, but because of their matchups and or game script this week, they make a lot of sense to play. Let's start up at number 5, where I've got running back of the Denver Broncos, Royce Freeman. It's easy to remember the big game Phillip Lindsay put up in Week 3 versus the Packers, but besides that, he has just 131 yards and no scores on 33 carries. Meanwhile, it was Freeman who played 62% of the offensive snaps last week for the Broncos. Heck, most think of Lindsay as the pass-catching back for Denver, but Freeman now has 18 targets and 13 receptions over the last 3 weeks, plus he has a good matchup this weekend too. At number 4, we've got the only quarterback on the list. It's Jacoby Brissette of the Indianapolis Colts. Did you know Brissette leads the NFL in passing touchdowns so far? The kid's been great, and the Colts continue to increase his volume every single week. Last week, he got up to 46 attempts. Adding a perfect game script and an even better matchup this weekend versus the Chiefs, and Brissette should be a lock start for you. At number 3, it's on to wide receivers, where I've got Anthony Miller of the Chicago Bears. This one may surprise you since Taylor Gabriel's been the one going off, and Anthony Miller hasn't done squat. But Taylor Gabriel's recovering from a concussion and might be held out again with the Bears bye week coming up in Week 6. Miller's going to see an increase in targets and snaps if that's the case, plus he plays the slot, which is by far the Raiders' weakest spot in their coverage. At number 2, I've got a Cincinnati Bengal, if you can believe it. It's Tyler Eifert, tight end. Remember TJ Hawkinson's big performance in Week 1? What about Mark Andrews in Week 2? Greg Olsen in Week 3? Will Dissly last week? All 4 of those games came against the Arizona Cardinals, who have now allowed 19.8 fantasy points per game to opposing tight ends. The second most in football, to put that into perspective, is just 12.1. Guys, this isn't hard. Just stream Eifert, then cut him after he adds to the Cardinals' carnage in Week 5. And at number 1, it's back to wide receiver, where I've got Keke Coutee of the Houston Texans. Speaking of good matchups, the Texans have a home game against Atlanta, who have given up a whopping 27.3 PPR points to opposing slot receivers this year. Kenny Stills filled in the gap in the slot for 3 weeks while Coutee was slow to return from his injury, but last week, Coutee jumped to 58% of the snaps, and that should increase this week with Kenny Stills now banged up. Don't forget just how good Keke Coutee was when he was healthy last year. Alright guys, that's all for my top 5 sleeper starts of Week 5. Make sure to let us know what you think in the comment section, and make sure to like and subscribe for future content throughout the 2019 fantasy football season. Thanks for watching, and enjoy your football.